Hello everybody and welcome back to Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing and welcome back to the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series here for Season 2, and we're down in Hampshire, Andover to be precise, at Thruxton, a unique circuit, obviously initially an airbase that opened in 1942 and since then continues to operate even whilst hosting some very good racing. Unfortunately Andy can't make it this evening, so myself, Jack Werrell, joining you in the commentary box. Of course, we've got the brilliant broadcast director Tom O'Farrell from 2F Media Productions working his magic behind the scenes, as well as Mick Sutton, Mr. PASR himself, driving the safety car, and being the race director this evening is Scott Thorne, and as usual, the clerk of the course is Craig Chorney, and he's been a busy boy over the past couple of weekends, just keeping his eye on how the Junior Saloon Car Championship has been going up until this point. Of course, we have already had 3 visits around the UK, really. We've been down in Kent at Brands Hatch, in Lincolnshire at Cadwell, and then we've sort of stayed down south over the past 2 rounds. We had round 3 at Castle Combe, and now we are down here at Thruxton for round 4. Snetterton 300 has now been confirmed on the 4th of January, so we will be on the 300 layout. Then we go over to the very northwest of Wales to go to Anglesey, over to just south of Manchester for Alton Park, and then back down into Kent for the final round, the 8th round at Brands Hatch Indy. So lots of action to look forward to, closing up on that halfway stage, and everybody is going to be racing sort of tooth and nail at every single one of these 8 rounds for some very impressive prizes. The one that everyone is going to be talking about is the free entry into the Junior Saloon Car Championship. So this could be the perfect little stepping stone to sort of kick-starting your motorsport career, and what a way to do it. If you can win here on the simulator, there's no reason you can't win in the real car. If you finish second, you get a Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing 3 Sim Rig, which is a very nice piece of kit as well, and can potentially make you even more competitive on the simulator. And then if you finish third, you get 2 options: the MSI 32-inch gaming monitor, or £200 cash. I know I'd definitely be going for that curved gaming monitor. And driver of the round, you win a pair of sim racing gloves. Of course, we have already had 3 drivers of the round, so they will be newly acquainted to their free sim racing gloves, I'm sure, very soon. But in terms of the championship standings, we mentioned the prizes. Here is how they are at the moment. Tied up at the top between Kyle Felvers and Nathan Williams, both on 70 points. However, Felvers, whilst he has had a win, and so too has Nathan Williams. Nathan Williams has finished second once, so too has Kyle Felvers. But the only thing that's giving Kyle Felvers the top is he's finished third twice compared to Nathan Williams, only finishing third once. Jordan Taylor, he's only an entire point away, so that's still up for grabs. It's very early stages in the season to call anything, but there's lots of tie breaks up and down the order. You can see Harry Dias and Ollie Newton tied for 17th. A little bit further up, we've got Albert Henriksen Bell and Oscar Abruzzese that are currently tied for 7th on 53 points, but Albert Henriksen Bell isn't going to be in attendance this evening as he is on holiday over in Sweden, so I'm sure he's having a great time over there. But the championship is well and truly up for grabs at the moment, and the only way to score championship points is by applying yourself in the race. The best position you can be in a race is following off the back of good qualifying. At the moment, we've got just over 7 minutes of qualifying remaining. Nathan Williams is up at the top of the times with a 1 minute 31.840. So a very quick time indeed from Nathan Williams. We did see a few cars breaking into the 1 minute 31s throughout practice. Last season, I should say, the pole time went the way of Levine Kishore with a 1 minute 32.454. So we are already over half a second quicker than last year's pole time. There is Levine Kishore. He's just starting another flying lap, currently on a 1 minute 32.375. If he gains only a tenth of a second, he will find himself on the inside of the second row of the grid. And then Kyle Felvers, of course, championship hopeful, he's in the pit lane, so maybe just doing a slight tweak to the setup, figuring out what he can change to maybe squeeze a bit more potential out of the car. Levine Kishore does improve on his personal fastest Sector 1, and he's almost there. He just needs an extra 4 tenths, narrowly missing the tyre bales. The margins for error are very small as you work your way through Noble. Then we've got the long, sweeping right-hander at Goodwood. So easy to wash the car wide onto the grass, and once you find the grass, it's very hard to find the tarmac once again before we get to almost everybody's favourite corner, Church. You can take it flat out in some cars. Some cars it's a dab on the brakes and then a flick in. In these, I'd imagine it's probably flat out and maybe a half lift if you need to, halfway around the corner. Unfortunately, Levine loses a bit of time through sector 2, so now it's the run uphill once again as you accelerate up to your limited 100 miles per hour in these Junior Saloon cars before you jump on the brakes, manage the rear of the car, brake in a straight line, and keep the car nice and controlled before you nibble the apex on the right, throw the car over the curbs on the left. A little bit too much there from Levine, and unfortunately finds a tyre bail, and that is not what he wanted. Does the clever thing, puts the car in reverse and makes sure he stays out of everyone's way. So clever driving from Levine. Who else have we got heading towards the line? Nathan Williams currently going through the chicane, bounces over the curbs. This looks like it could be an okay lap, maybe not enough for an improvement. Breaks the beam there, last lap of 48, so clearly he's, maybe it was an out lap coming out onto, or he was just trying to find a little bit of free air, which he has done now. So he will now go over the crest, the flick left, tricky braking zone, get the car straightened up in towards the complex. So Campbell, the first right-hander at the complex, then it's Cobb into the left, bounce over the curbs, and then it's a weird compression as you head into Seagrave here. Avoid too much curb, but let the car just wash over it a little bit. Try to maximise the momentum, which is so crucial in these cars. We've seen it throughout the season already. Cadwell was definitely a tricky circuit to keep that momentum up. Nathan Williams only 4/10 down from his fastest sector 1, so very competitive through there. And as we flick our way now through Goodwood, we may see more improvements. A brilliant onboard shot here aboard Nathan Williams' car. You'll be able to see just the speed that some drivers can carry through Church. It's very quick, blind right-hander. You can't see the apex. You've almost got to flick the car in, aim for the marshal's post and hope the corner is still there by the time you arrive. So 8/10 down, or 8/100ths down, pardon me, on his fastest so far. So if you can make those 8/100ths back, his best bet really is be slightly late on the brakes and try and gain a 10th in towards the club chicane. How close does he get to the tyre bail? Very close indeed, all the way through. Very clean, very precise from Nathan Williams. Will we see an improvement from him this time? So surgical driving through the chicane, and no, he was almost a quarter of a second down in that final sector. So not the quickest lap from Nathan Williams, unfortunately, from what we've seen. I think it still would have been enough for pole. No, it wouldn't. It would have, say, if he hadn't got that 1 minute 31.840 already in the bank, that would have only been enough for second place. But looking a little deeper into these cars, they produce only 90 horsepower from a 1.6 litre 8-valve engine, but they weigh very little indeed. So it means that momentum is crucial. Whilst they don't have monumental power figures, if you can carry that momentum as best as possible and try not to scrub off too much speed, you should slowly start to reap the rewards in the way of lap time. Leo Bell now through the final corner. Will we see an improvement from Leo? Across the line he will go, and yes we do, right the way up to 6th place with the 1 minute 32.743. We did also spot as well Hayden Gray was somewhere out on circuit. I think he's there, he is. So he's on the outside of Woodham Hill, the climb back up towards the club chicane, and I'm guessing he may have ran out of fuel, and he's done the sensible thing, I guess, and pull over and not try and limp the car back to the pit lane. Hopefully it's not damaged, and it is just something like fuel. Harry Dios has massively improved through the first sector. So whereabouts is Harry at the moment? He's down in 13th place with a 1 minute 35.586 on the board. We could see an improvement this time. 1.1, basically 1.2 up this time. A bit of a wobble mid-corner. We've got a car going sideways through the grass. Couldn't quite pick out exactly. I think that's Lewis Stannard potentially, and Harry Dios again all over the grass, and maybe just trying to find a little bit of clear air. Of course, now approaching the yellow flag zones. Leo Bell, we mentioned him earlier on, a massive improvement up to 6th place from where he was down in the mid-pack. 1 minute 32.743 last time through. He's gone almost a quarter of a second quicker than his previous best through Sector 1. He's gone 4,000ths quicker than Nathan Williams, the overall fastest Sector 2 at the moment. As we work our way in towards the club chicane, bouncing over the curbs, making sure not to just grab the tyre bells. We've got a spinner through the final corner. That is Harry Dios. We were keeping an eye on him. As we come towards the line, will we see an improvement from Leo Bell? Yes, we will. He promotes himself up onto the outside of the second row of the grid at the moment. Luke Sintler had a very good sector 1, 47 thousandths quicker than anybody else has gone so far in this session. Unfortunately, he's lost about a tenth and a half working his way through sector 2, but of course he's got that draft assistance all the way up the hill. A little bit of traffic, he's going to have to be careful to not get caught up too much in that one, and it might just kill his momentum. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, there may have been a little bit of contact there between himself and I think that was Ollie Newton, unfortunately, through the final corner. So Luke Sintler does not improve that time through, but at the moment it is Nathan Williams still up at the top of the times. Jordan Taylor has improved, but not enough. A 1 minute 31.972. So we now have 2 drivers at the top of the order in that 1 minute 31 bracket. Luke Sintler finds himself in 3rd place. Felvis in 4th. I think Felvis has just improved because Leo Bell, after watching him very closely, he has found himself demoted back down to 5th place. Levine Kishaw, the second of the almost retirees from qualifying. He's got a good time on the board, but maybe ran out of fuel a little bit. Luke Stannard back up the hill, so it'll be a slow lap from Luke, unfortunately. Almost 2 seconds down from what he has done so far, and he's just working his way through the club chicane now, bouncing over the curbs, heading towards the start-finish line is Nathan Jensen. We may see an improvement from him. So Nathan Jensen crosses the line. Do we see an improvement? No, we don't, unfortunately. He remains on a 1 minute 34.102. Oscar Abreu says has improved through sector 2, but if anything, he's sort of just making back that time that he lost in sector 1. So damage limitation so far. He is chasing somebody down. That looks like Hayden Guest, potentially. Matt Guest, pardon me. So yes, Matt Guest up the hill. He will go, being chased by Oscar. And that will give him a lot of draft assistance all the way up towards the club chicane. And much quicker through that time is Oscar. He takes chunks out of Matt Guest as Matt is heading towards the pit lane. Will we see a late on improvement from Oscar? He's got a lot of time to make up, and a 1 minute 33.867. That is not an improvement, unfortunately. He remains on the 1:33.735. Back up the hill comes our current pole sitter Nathan Williams, and in towards the final chicane once again. And it's been a fairly slow lap from him. Heading through the final corner now. That looks like Newton, potentially. Yes, it was Ollie Newton. Nathan Williams unable to get the car slowed down for the chicane and finds himself in the barrier. Coming towards the line now. Here's Olivia Kronoska. Will we see an improvement from her? No, I don't think we will. She remains on the 1 minute 36.454. Hayden Gray still out there. Do we have anybody else out and circulating? I don't believe so. That is on a flying lap. So we will see in just a few moments' time Nathan Williams into the commentary box so we can grab a quick word with him about how he is handling the 2.34 miles of Thruxton circuit. A very quick, very flowing circuit, but I think one thing to note is quite an abrasive circuit as well. It really does start to tear away at tyres. But Nathan Williams, you join me in the commentary box now, and you're on pole position once again. A 1 minute 31.840. That's a very, very quick time indeed. You're one of only 2 drivers to break into that 31. How do you do it?
Well, I think it's about maintaining the speed through most of the corners, and I think it's also about pushes close to the walls on the barrier, which is obviously a lot more risky and might not pay off as much in the race. I think, yeah.
And in terms of heading in towards the complex, so sort of turns 3, 4, and 5, it's quite a tricky little section. And getting the car slowed down, any issues with that? And how's it really handling the curbs? Because they are quite tall heading through that little section.
Yeah, I think I'm quite happy with the car, then it's slowed down relatively well. But I think you have to try and minimise the curves as much as possible. Because as you go over and the front wheels lift, and obviously then you're not putting as much power on the ground, and it just gets you a worse run all the way down to the end of the lap, essentially, which is about a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very quick lap. Indeed, you're flat out for such a long time. Obviously, we've got 2 20-minute races on the way. Anything specific that you're going to try? Because aerodynamic assistance will be a big one. Do you think it's going to be pack racing, or are you going to try and break away as soon as possible?
I think obviously the goal is to break away. Obviously, although the aero is not the slipstream's not the best in these cars, it still has an effect about 2 or 3 tenths down the back straight, and I think, but it is a very difficult circuit to overtake with only 2 braking zones. One of them being very difficult to go too wide in. The other, if you get a better run, you've got a much better chance of just re-overtaking them. So I think it's just try and keep the leads for as long as possible. If someone goes for an overtake, just trying to maybe put them off and maybe force them into mistake. And from there, yeah.
Great stuff. Well, best of luck for not only the first race, but if I don't speak to you between now and then, the second race as well. We'll be keeping an eye on you because you are tied for the championship lead as well. So best of luck, and hopefully we get to speak to you again this evening.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nathan. So a quick word there with our pole sitter for race 1 this evening, Nathan Williams. Obviously, we mentioned it that the momentum is key. I didn't realise quite how key. Nathan is he's very much favourable of keeping that momentum and the average speed as high as possible, specifically around Thruxton as well. Because, like you say, you make a small mistake heading into Campbell Cobb and Seagrave, what's commonly referred to as the complex. That's still sector 1 at that point, and that can affect you right the way up until the end of the lap. That shows how crucial that momentum is. If you can carry an extra couple of miles an hour at the start of the lap, you may see yourself reaping the rewards heading up towards the club chicane at the very tail end of the lap. So we're just ticking our way now down towards the start of the race. The cars will be working their way onto the grid. We'll be able to bring the confirmed grid to you in just a few moments' time. But of course, points are on the line, and we've got drop scores applied at the moment. Kyle Felvers, our championship leader, including the countback, has dropped 39 points, so he will try and minimise any sort of further loss. But grid for this evening, Nathan Williams lines up on pole position with championship rival Jordan Taylor. He's currently third in the championship. He lines up alongside Luke Sintler. A good impression towards the tail end of the session. Finishes in, will start the race in third place. Kyle Felvers starting in fourth. Row 3 of the grid, we do have Leo Bell as well. Do not rule him out. He's been very, very quick and improving as well. Last year's pole sitter lines up alongside Levine Kishaw. Then we get back to Lewis Stannard and Matt Guest starting 7th and 8th. Of course, this is where we really start to get into the gritty parts of the championship, where he gets very close indeed. Harley Connolly and Hayden Gray make up the 5th row of the grid. Oscar Abreu says, keep an eye on him as well. He's been getting quicker throughout the season. He seems to pick his way through the order under the radar. Nathan Jensen lines up alongside in 12th place. Harry Dias, unfortunately, isn't there. There's the blank space on the grid, meaning Jake Wardle all on his own on that row of the grid. And then we get Dias is there now. He is just, I'm assuming, there. So it's Snaith we're missing, apologies. So Harry Dias is there. Then it's Ollie Newton we're looking at now, followed then by Olivia Kronoska, who's on the left-hand side of your screen there. And I think she is, yes, at the tail end of the order in 16th place. So in a few moments' time, we will get the race underway. We do have a blank spot on the grid, but unfortunately, yeah, Nathan Snaith will not be playing. Ready for race 2. Of course, that's when we see the reverse grid. With 40 seconds remaining until we're going to get this race underway. After a little bit of practice in these cars throughout the week, they are very tricky to start. If you dump the clutch too early, it means that you just sort of bog down. If you hold it too high, you don't really go anywhere. There is a slight sweet spot where you can maximize the start, where there's no wheel spin at all, but you slip the clutch and just allow enough power to reach the road. The 6 red lights will be coming on in a few moments' time. Nathan Williams on the left-hand side of your screen, Jordan Taylor on the right, followed then by Luke Sintler and Kyle Felvers. We may see the 2 teammates working together, but the 6 lights are on, and as they go out, which is now, who gets the best start? It was a good initial bite from Luke Sintler, but then started to bog down. Nathan Williams, the second phase of the start really started to work for him. That's where we see Jordan Taylor slowly start to work his way into the mix as well, already flashing the lights, trying to take Williams' attention away from up the road. Kyle Felvers is already hot on the heels of Luke Sintler, may start sizing up a move in towards the first sort of main braking zone here at Thruxton. So Williams right the way out to the white line, maximising it as best as possible, and a big lunge, a bold move there from Kyle Felvers, but that promotes him up into 3rd place, and Luke Sintler down into 4th now. So we could see Kyle Felvers play rear gunner and protect Jordan Taylor in the early stages of the race, and then try and work his way forward from there. The mid-pack seems fairly well put together as well. Olivia Kronoska has managed to pick the pocket of Ollie Newton. She will now set her sights on chasing down Harry Dias. Matt Guest having to hold the grip all the way around the outside of Levine Kishaw, but managed to get the car squared away all the way around the outside at Noble before the long right at Goodwood. Leo Bell just trying to edge his way up the inside of Lewis Stannard. Can't quite force the door open. Lewis now goes over to defend slightly from Leo as we work our way down towards Church for the first time. It's very, very quick section of the circuit, a couple of differing lines, but everybody manages to make it through for the moment. Nathan Williams still up at the head of affairs, however, but getting closer is Jordan Taylor. Kyle Felvers is still there as well. You can see behind Leo Bell is Harley Connolly. He doesn't know whether to go forward or back because he's got Matt Guest chomping at the bit, trying to work his way through. And Nathan Williams, like he said, he's going to try and work away, but unfortunately, coming with him is Jordan Taylor and making it very hard indeed. Luke Sinclair, unfortunately, with a mistake, he manages to catch Leo Bell as well. I don't know whether that car just rotated on the brakes, but Luke Sinclair found himself pointing sideways, but that's really started to heat up in the mid-pack as well because Nathan Jensen has managed to work his way by Harley Connolly and Matt Guest 3 wide in towards Allards, and they just about managed to work their way through. Oscar Abruzzese has got the best seats in the house in 9th. You can see Levine Kishaw, Harley Connolly, Matt Guest and Nathan Jensen as well, whilst also trying to defend from Hayden Gray late on the brakes into the first section of the complex. Almost a bit of contact between Oscar and Levine, then eventually a little bit of contact and a bit more as well. So it's, what, 2-3 wide at points, and there's more contact once again, but I think they managed to get it all collected up. Yes, they do. And so that means Oscar Abruzzese has dropped a little bit down the order. Hayden Gray has dropped down, so too has Levine Kishaw. The big winner out of that was Harry Dios. He's up into 8th place. Nathan Williams has put a bit of breathing room between himself and Jordan Taylor. Now the lead gap up to a second. Kyle Felvers slowly starting to close up onto his teammate as well, but there is Jake Wardle. He is now trying to chase down Harry Dios as we go through the very back section of the circuit, through Goodwood, then into this sort of slight right at Village before you start to set the car up for Church Corner once again. Aim for the apex and just hope the corner is there. Wardle with a slightly shallower line. Will that mean he will run wide? He's heading towards the corner, or the exit of the corner, but manages to keep it within those white lines, which are so crucial here at Thruxton as well. You've got to be careful through the final chicane with those tyre bales. But Jake Wardle back up the hill later on the brakes than Harry Dios. And a big moment there for Nathan Williams, unfortunately. I think that was Lewis Stannard, pardon me. Yes, it was Lewis Stannard, and we've got a couple more cars sideways as well. Oscar Abruzzese is in on the mix, so Harry Dios, Leo Bell, Oscar Abruzzese and Matt Guest all together as we are sideways through the final corner. We had, what, 4 cars all pointing the wrong way. Hayden Gray finds himself now up in 6th place. I think that has all been squared away and everybody carries on. Yes, they do. So Hayden Gray will work his way round the complex once again in 6th place. I was just keeping an eye on the track map, and let's figure out whereabouts everybody is. It's still up in the air whether the safety car will come out, but Nathan Williams is still carrying on, pretty much playing to the whistle at this point. Jordan Taylor is still 1.1 seconds back. Kyle Felvers is there in the background, but I think crucially for Nathan Williams, he was, at least, outside of that draft range. But the safety car will be coming out for the first time this evening, meaning Nathan Williams' 1 second lead margin will dissipate to near on nothing, meaning Jordan Taylor will be back there as well. So too will Kyle Felvers, and the big gap that lead trio had built will dissipate to nothing as well. Nathan Jensen will be back with them. So at the moment, Nathan Williams still leading, followed by Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvers. And it is Nathan Jensen and Harley Connolly. Hayden Gray in 6th place. It's been a good race so far for Hayden. And it is Jake Wardle and Levine Kishaw, followed then by Olivia Kronoska right the way up in 9th place. Good to see her heading towards the top end of the order. Lewis Stannard rounds out your current running top 10. Then it's Ollie Newton, Luke Sinclair, Harry Dios, Oscar Abruzzese, Leo Bell and Matt Guest, who have all in one way or another been involved in an accident. So there is the safety car. Scott Thorne piloting the safety car for me this evening, waiting to pick those cars up as they head their way through the complex. And clever driver from Scott there waves by Matt Guest, and that means he can pick up the leader, Nathan Williams. Oscar Abruzzese has spun again, I believe, working his way through the complex. Whether there was contact between himself and Harry Dios, I don't know. Apologies to one nor the other if I'm wrong. But Nathan Williams, he now has to focus and I suppose just keep as much temperature in the tyres, as much temperature in the brakes as possible, ready for that restart. But Jordan Taylor will be well within that draft range. The safety car queue just working its way through Noble now. Arriving in the background at a rapid rate of knots is Leo Bell, or I think that's Luke Sinclair, pardon me. Yeah, Luke Sinclair really starting to arrive in the background. A little bit of a bottleneck through Noble. Leo Bell is, whereabouts is he? He's just catching onto the tail end of the order, followed then by Harry Dios. He's getting close, and Oscar Abruzzese. And Matt Guest, he's just working his way through the final corner now, so he's got a lot of making up to do if he wants to catch that safety car queue. Got to be so careful as well with everybody weaving, just to, I suppose, give that car up the road an extra car's length or maybe a little bit more, just to make sure that if the car does have to brake or it starts to sort of break traction at the rear and screw off some speed, safety car in this lap, the lights have gone off, so everything goes the way of Nathan Williams. He controls the pace at the front of the order, so still weaving now as Scott has just worked his way through Church, still weaving, I believe, yes, is Nathan Williams, so he's just controlling that pace. He's slowly picking it up and will choose when to go. The thing is, he can do this right the way up until the start-finish line, in theory. He can hold the field up at a sort of a sensible speed until we get up to the chicane. So Nathan Williams still weaving, going very quickly as well, but not quite started, trying to avoid any bottlenecking as they work their way through. Nathan Williams now into the chicane. It looks like he has gone. Yes, he has, bouncing over the curbs and almost collecting the tyre bale on the way out. Runs very, very wide indeed, all over the grass. Does everything now throw the way of Jordan Taylor, who didn't get the best of restarts, but he's now slowly starting to nose his way up the inside as we arrive at Allard's Corner, the very, very quick right. Yes, we do. So we now see Jordan Taylor leading the race. Nathan Williams left without too much to do, apart from defend from Kyle Felvers, who's worked his way up the inside. Can he be late on the brakes and take away second place as well? Yes, he can initially as we meet the apex, and that is now secured. So Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvers have worked their way in front of Nathan Williams on the restart. So it's the two teammates at the head of affairs, followed by Nathan Williams, who's now under pressure from Jensen as well. So Nathan Jensen is trying to work his way up in towards the provisional podium. Still over half the race to go. Harley Connolly not too far away in 5th place, followed then by Hayden Gray and Lewis Stannard. Then we get a bit of a break back almost, or sorry, Hayden Gray, and then we get the break back to Lewis Stannard, who's 3 seconds away. There might have been contact off the restart, unfortunately. But everybody is together once again as we work our way around Goodwood and then in towards Church Corner. Slightly wide in the background there was Harley Connolly, just dipping a wheel onto the grass, bouncing over the curbs before the climb back up, the ascent towards the club chicane. Jordan Taylor, having got the lead, he's doing what he can just to stretch that margin, and he's doing a good job of that so far with his teammate in tow. Obviously, Kyle Felvers will want to protect his teammate's lead, but also doesn't want to sacrifice championship points to his main championship rival, Nathan Williams. And unfortunately, Nathan Jensen unable to get the car slowed down or turned in for the final corner, collects the tyre bale, recovers suitably, and grabs the gear and points the car in the right direction once again. But unfortunately, from 4th place right the way down to 10th, and maybe loses another to Leo Bell. Yes, he does. So down in 11th place now. So it's back to 3 for the lead. Jordan Taylor still leading and pulling away, arguably, from his teammate Kyle Felvers. Nathan Williams all over the rear bumper of Kyle in 2nd. Harley Connolly is not necessarily leading a lonely race because he does have Hayden Gray just sat behind. Then we get back to Lewis Stannard, who's all on his own. Oscar Abruzzese is in on the mix as well. He's trying to work his way through and past Olivia Kronoska, which he has done now. And the next target for him will be Luke Sintler. So with just over 10 minutes of the race remaining, the battle for second is far from settled. Kyle Felvers under ever-increasing pressure from Nathan Williams. If they continue to battle, don't rule out Harley Connolly, because he's only, 2.5 seconds back. Hayden Gray is almost with him as well. So we could see 4 cars fighting over the final couple of steps on the podium. Kyle Felvers now out of that second margin to his teammate Jordan Taylor in the lead of the race. Nathan Williams now, he's going to have to size up that move. He said it doesn't do too much, the draft, but it does a little bit as we climb up the hill once again towards the club chicane. A little look there, just filling the mirrors. Is he going to play it safe? No, he's not. Late on the brakes, dives up the inside, puts, I think, just the front corner of the car there to make Kyle Felvers slightly nervous on the way through. A quicker run through the chicane, though, from Kyle, completely unfaltered by Nathan Williams trying to look up the inside there. It was a good lap from Jordan Taylor, a 1 minute 32.695. I believe that's the fastest lap of the race so far. Yes, it is. Kyle Felvers, after being under intense pressure towards the final corner, has just again bought himself a little bit of breathing room between himself and Nathan Williams. Oscar Abruzzese loses out, unfortunately, to Olivia Kronoska. I don't know whether all is well with that car, because it looked like it lost a lot of speed heading through that final corner. And yes, Harry Dios now up the inside as well. He got steering damage? Let's have a look. He straightens the car up for the chicane. and the wheel is almost straight, and yeah, the car is turning right. So clearly some sort of mechanical damage, unfortunately, on Oscar's car. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that car destined for the pit lane at the end of this lap. Nathan Williams now has reasserted himself onto the tail of Kyle Felvers. 8.5 minutes to go, so still, what, 4, 5 laps, potentially more, towards the end of this race. Oscar did indeed hit the wall on the exit of the final corner, presumably where we saw that damage come from. A bit of contact there between Nathan Williams and Kyle Felvers. That's all, they just bounced over the curb, and it looked very, very similar to contact indeed. Up the hill we go once again. Kyle Felvers really under pressure now. Nathan Williams a little look up the inside, a big look up the inside. He tries the same move as last lap. This time pulls out of it earlier as well. And that means he can manage the speed through the chicane slightly better this time. Runs wide, grabs a bit of grass. So on the way in, they're very evenly matched, but on the way out, Kyle Felvers really starts to extend that margin. Last time through, Kyle Felvers set a 1 minute 32.737. Nathan Williams a 1 minute 32.727. Lewis Stannard, unfortunately, falling foul of the final chicane. He's dropped down quite a way. So too was Harry Dios. Harry has been caught out, I think, twice so far in this race. So too was Olivia Kronoska. So if we had maybe a coming together through the final corner, or is it completely unrelated accidents? But we had 3 cars affected by the club chicane on that lap prior. Harry Dios gets back going once again, hopefully without too much damage, meaning that he can continue. The battle between Kyle Felvers and Harley Connolly continuing on. They are the closest cars that we've got out on the track at the moment. Harley Connolly sat there in 4th place, is falling away from the cars up the road, but falling into the clutches of Hayden Gray, sat there in 5th place. So the battle for 4th really starting to hot up now as we work our way through the very back end of the circuit. And we're hearing as well, it was Harry Dios and Olivia Kronoska that made contact between themselves heading through the final corner, hence why we saw those 2 cars pointing the wrong way, and potentially with a little bit of damage as well. Luke Sintler has got a bit of driving to do. He sat there in 6th, but 6 seconds away from the next car up the road. Nathan Williams this time, wise to the move, decides not to risk it and focus on the drive through the club chicane, bounces over the curbs, and this time gets quite a good exit and starts to take time away from Kyle Felvers. Gets a brilliant run through there. Jordan Taylor has had a shocking run. He was a second clear heading through the chicane, but we now see a change for the lead. So Kyle Felvers into the lead, Jordan Taylor down in 2nd, but Nathan Williams out of all of that. A brilliant run through the chicane, a mistake from Taylor. Unfortunately, has to settle for 3rd place for the moment. Still 6 minutes of the race to go. So, what, 4, maybe 5 laps, depending on where they cross the line and at what time. A 1 minute 32 lap. It will be touch and go whether we get sort of 4 or 5 laps before the end of the race. Williams, with that brilliant run, did set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.569. And we'll be trying to make the most of the cars battling up the road. Unfortunately, Harry Dios has been caught out once again and finds himself down in 14th place once again. We said that Hayden Gray was slowly applying the pressure onto Harley Connolly, and Harley Connolly will start to feel it now because they're, what, a quarter of a second apart. And looking at as well, they are getting very close to that white line, so they're slowly starting to push the limits of these little junior saloon cars are the drivers out there. Kyle Felvers, having got the lead, is 6/10 clear of his teammate Jordan Taylor. Nathan Williams isn't really too far away from that. He's, again, just filling the mirrors, playing a little bit of mind games, I think, there with Jordan Taylor. Jake Wardle and I think Harry Dios spun of their own accord. No contact between the pair of them. That time there was contact, though. Nathan Williams, that's a little bit naughty, pushing Jordan Taylor through the chicane. It was a very, very big hit indeed. It pushed Jordan Taylor onto the track externals, over the grass and over the white line. Nathan Williams, you thought he would bleed out the throttle just to allow Jordan Taylor to continue on and then carry that battle on, but unfortunately that isn't the case. We may see it before the end of the race, but with all of that going on, it means that Kyle Felvers is almost 1.8 seconds clear of those 2 cars behind at the moment. So the first of the HFT racing cars through the complex he will go, and then arrive at Noble Corner, which is quite a deceptive corner. It draws you in to turn in early, but the idea is sort of float the car in the middle of the circuit and then turn in quite late and pick up the curb there. Yeah, brilliant line there from Kyle Felvers, managing the sort of very little weight that this car has on skinny tyres as well. It does tend to sort of skitter across the top of the racing surface, making it a nice challenging drive and the perfect way to sort of accompany yourself with a similar discipline of motorsport that you may go into. Of course, we might see that at the end of this season. Whoever wins the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries does get that free entry into the Junior Saloon Car Scholarship for 2024. Kyle Felvers still managing that pace up at the top of the order. Nathan Williams is 1.7 seconds away from the race leader, but I think crucially 8/10 in front of Jordan Taylor. The battle we saw earlier on between Harley Connolly and Hayden Gray has dissipated. Hayden Gray now 1.5 seconds back from Harley Connolly. Over the line goes Kyle Felvers to set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.517. Matt Guest, unfortunately, it's been a rotten race from him so far. He finds himself sideways through the grass and will rejoin the racing surface as soon as possible, I'm sure. Nathan Jensen with a mistake, quite an odd mistake to find yourself there. Oscar Abbott says he works his way through, going very slowly indeed. And are they going to go either side of him? Yes, they are. Very clever driving there from Olivia Kronoska and Ollie Newton. A bit of a wobble on the way in from Oliver Newton, though. He manages to get that collected up. Olivia Kronoska still the lead car in that battle, but not sure what happened with Nick Jensen there, but Nathan Jensen, quite an odd accident to find yourself at that part of the circuit going that slowly indeed. Olivia Kronoska just about keeping it within the white lines. Levine Kishore missed the second part of the chicane and dive into the pit lane, but he's back out once again and rejoins the race down in 15th place. We have seen a change. Ollie Newton has now worked his way through and past Olivia Kronoska, but whilst all that battle has been going on, Nathan Jensen, pardon me, after quite an odd incident, is now fighting his way back up through the order. If he can pass Kronoska and Newton, he will find himself back in towards the top 10 with 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining. We'll see what 2 more laps out of this, depending on where Felvers is. Felvers is crossing the line, so yeah, we should see 2 more laps out of this race at the moment. The lead gap at the moment is up to 1.2 seconds, so it has been coming down, but Nathan Williams needs something very special. Kronoska heading towards the Marshall's post, and I believe, yeah, she may have made heavy contact there. I don't know whether Nathan Jensen unfortunately tapped Kronoska into a spin, but that looked like a very, very substantial impact for Kronoska, so hopefully all is well there. Hayden Gray working his way through the chicane now. Nathan Jensen, after, yes, what was a little bit of contact with Kronoska, he's now trying to work his way up the inside of Ollie Newton, which he does so on the brakes, and in towards the top 10 goes Nathan Jensen. So the RS Motorsport driver back in towards a slightly higher points paying position. And Kyle Felvers only a second clear, and he's got 2 laps to manage that gap, so it is getting closer. Hayden Gray has reasserted himself onto the tail of Harley Connolly. So there is Harley Connolly in what I believe was 4th place. Yeah, 4th place. Hayden Gray in 5th. Kyle Felvers still leading the way. 9/10 clear now with 30 seconds remaining. They're back up the hill towards the final chicane. So Nathan Williams needs something very, very special indeed if he's in with a shout of getting the lead away from Kyle Felvers. Jordan Taylor, I think, was knocked out of his stride with that contact between himself and Nathan Williams, and is now, what, 2.5 seconds away from Kyle Felvers, or from Nathan Williams, pardon me. We did see another quick lap posted from Nathan Williams, 1 minute 32.215. And it was a very good run through the final corner, because he's taken 1/4 of a second away from our race leader on that final sector, and it's still coming down. This could be very, very close indeed, as we're on the final lap of the race. Kyle Felvers only 3/4 of a second clear, which sounds like a lot, but the rate that Nathan Williams has been closing, we could see yet further improvements from Nathan, and we may see him on the top step of the podium come the end of this race. Jordan Taylor still sat there in 3rd place. Harley Connolly and Hayden Gray closer than ever to where we've seen them throughout the race. Luke Sintler is in on that mix as well. So 3 cars fighting over 4th place. Harley Connolly, Hayden Gray and Luke Sintler. There is the trio working its way through Noble, and then the flick right into Goodwood. Keep the car nice and balanced all the way through the long, long right-hander. I'm sure the tyres will be screaming at them. Kyle Felvers through Church now, and for the final time will go up the hill once again. Spot his braking point for the club chicane, and it's looking like it's going to go his way. A flash of the lights there from Nathan Williams trying absolutely every trick in the book just to throw Kyle Felvis sort of out of cue. Very deep on the brakes from Nathan Williams. That was very, very optimistic indeed. And he's gone over what was in theory classed as a red painted surface, and that's where you are supposed to stop. If you go over sort of just a little bit of the off track, you're supposed to sort of slow down. Over the red sections, which you were in the briefing, you should have stopped. Unfortunately, I don't think he did. But Kyle Felvis did indeed take the race win, and after all was said and done, 3.6 seconds clear over his HFT racing teammate Jordan Taylor in second. Nathan Williams crossed the line in third, yet to be reviewed. Hayden Gray did manage to pick the pocket of Harley Connolly, so that position must have changed towards the line. So Hayden Gray finished in fourth place. Harley Connolly finished in fifth, followed then by Luke Sintler and Leo Bell. We wait for Lewis Stannard, who has crossed the line. Oscar Abruzzese going up the hill once again. And into the final chicane for what will be the final time in race one of the evening. We will see another driver cross the line and take the checkered flag, and then we will await the arrival of Nathan Jensen to round out the top 10. He appears in the background now, so Nathan Jensen towards the line, and then it's a trio of cars, I think. No, it's just a duo. Comes Ollie Newton and Jake Wardle, followed then by Olivia Kronoska, I believe. No, it's not. There is Olivia Kronoska through the final corner. Olivia Kronoska will cross the line. It was Matt Guest that was yet to take the flag. We have already had Levine Kishore and Harry Dios, but we will be able to drag Kyle Felvis, Jordan Taylor and Nathan Williams into the commentary box for a quick chat in a few moments' time. But another win goes the way of Kyle, meaning that he will extend that championship lead if he can keep this up. And it's still got to be taken into account the drop scores that we may see throughout the season. So we'll go in reverse order. Nathan Williams finished in third place. Seemed like an okay start, and you did start to break away, but I think that safety car was really a calling point for your race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I had a good start to the race, and then after safety car, I think I just made too many mistakes. Wasn't entirely the best race for me after that point.
And obviously, I'm sure you've been sort of sizing yourself up and racing a little bit in practice. But was it like a sort of first race of the evening here at Thruxton, racing in a pack? It must be hard work because it's quite a wide circuit. But I'm sure these cars do move around quite a lot on, especially into braking zones and bits like that. It must be quite tight.
Yeah, I think it is. It's very difficult to race, but I also think it's even more difficult to just overtake, because if you go for the first braking zone, you then end up most likely getting a worse run onto the back straight, and then if it's super difficult to go through the chicane, I think it's just really difficult to get past people. I think it's just waiting for others to make mistakes.
Well, the good thing is you get to do it all over again in just a few moments' time. Of course, we do get the reverse grid race underway in a couple of minutes. Is there any sort of different outlook that you have heading into a reverse grid race? Just sort of slowly pick them off, or try and get the work done as early as possible and then work from there?
I think it's about just being as safe as possible at the start, because obviously, although you can make up loads of places at the start, you can also completely ruin a race. I think it's much more being careful at the start, and then maybe later on picking up the aggression and trying to get past people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great stuff. Congratulations on third place in race one, and hopefully we can speak to you again come the end of race two.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nathan. And then we move on to Jordan Taylor. Jordan, you had a busy old race. You spent, I think, every second of that race, either in first, second, or third, you sort of bounced between the podium positions, eventually splitting the difference and finishing in second. It was a bit rough and tumble at points, but yeah, it went all right, and more points go your way.
Yeah, it was all right. I let myself down in qualifying, just with not navigating the traffic properly. And I was very, very close on the pole lap, on the lap where I got held up. So they could have been a completely different race, but I got a decent start, not ideal. Read what Nathan was going to do off the safety car restart. Managed to nip up the inside, and then just an error of my own, really. With these cars, I was being so cautious not to hit the barrier that if you go too slow, they really, really don't like it. It's weird, but if you go faster, they prefer it hitting them bumps. So it was just a mistake of my own, which let Kyle past, and then unfortunately, through the last chicane, Nathan punted me out of the way. To be fair, not a lot, but Karma served. He locked up or whatever happened there. So
Yeah, you've got race 2 on the way as well. Similar question to yourself. Any sort of different
I'm lucky to get
outlook?
P2 really. I shouldn't be a eventful race.
Yeah, it seemed very eventful indeed. But of course, you get to do you get to do another 20-minute race all over again, starting from the sort of rear end of the grid. Any different outlook heading into this one?
I mean, from experience from last season, I remember it being very chaotic at the start, and just momentum on this first lap is so crucial, because if these people in front of me are going 4 wide and I can get the run all the way from the first chicane all the way up to that second one, I could probably be in the top 5, maybe, but you get top 7, let's say, by the chicane. And it's just literally looking ahead. Don't focus around me, look ahead, because if there's a crash at that second chicane and I can stop and wait for everyone to like move and finish crashing and get through without damage, I'll be alright. I mean, damage is a massive factor in these as well, which not many people say.
Well, best of luck. Congratulations on P2, and we'll keep an eye on you for race 2.
Cheers.
Cheers, Jordan. And then he's back in the commentary box once again, Kyle Felvers. We seem to always be having a reason to chat to you. It's qualifying was close, but the race seemed even closer. But another win to add to your name, and you've got the championship to worry about now. We're heading towards the midpoint of the season. You were tied on points coming in, but another win, is that sort of the goal for race 2 as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think race 1 win, that's what I wanted, and that's what I've done. So I think that's really good points for me. Race 2, we just try and survive, like Jordan was saying. It's going to be absolutely mental. So just trying to survive those first few laps and then get back to where you should be. And hopefully from there I'll be able to push on and get podium.
Great stuff. Well, I'd love to chat more. Hopefully we get the opportunity again, but race 2 is about to start, so best of luck.
Thank you.
Cheers, Kyle. So, yeah, race 2 very shortly getting underway. This one is the reverse grid race, so any finishes from race 1 are reversed for race 2, sort of self-explanatory in that regard. So it means that Harry Dios will be starting on pole position, I believe. Yes, he will. Then it is Levine Kishaw and Matt Guest. Followed then by Olivia Kronoska on the outside of the second row of the grid. Then it's Jake Wardle and Ollie Newton, Nathan Jensen and Oscar Abertzazi make up row 4. Row 5 is Lewis Stannard, Leo Bell. Then it is Luke Sintler and Harley Connolly. Hayden Gray starts in 13th with Nathan Williams 14th, Jordan Taylor 15th, and race 1 winner Kyle Felvers in 16th. The 6 red lights will slowly come on as they illuminate their way through. Drivers getting ready. Harry Dios on pole position. Levine Kishaw in second. Who will get the best start? Will it be someone further down? It was a good initial jump from Levine Kishaw. He does what he can to work his way over and apply the pressure to Harry Dios in the early stages. It was a good start as well from Kyle Felvers. He's trying to draw his way up and alongside his teammate Jordan Taylor. But for the moment, it looks like just about Levine Kishaw will sneak his way up the inside. Yes, he will, but it will be the outside as we arrive at the complex. So another 20-minute race on the way. More action-packed this time with the reverse grid all the way around the outside. Gives it a go. Does Levine Kishaw, Harry Dios bouncing all over the curbs. And unfortunately, that means he washes wide into the door of Levine Kishaw. We've got Olivia Kronoska sideways. Moment collected up. Very well held from Olivia. We've also got the leaders trying to work their way through as well. So Jordan Taylor already up into 7th place, whilst Nathan Williams is down in 11th. Nathan Williams up into 10th place. Kyle Felvers is still sat there in 12th, but Jordan Taylor, a dream start, exactly what he wanted behind the wheel of his HFT Racing Citroen Saxo. He jumps up the inside now of Jake Wardle up into 6th place. What a start this has been from Jordan Taylor. He's now all over the rear bumper of Harley Connolly. He's now looking up the inside as we head down towards Church Corner. This is where you need to be very, very brave indeed, especially on the first lap. Aim for the corner, hope it's still there, bounce over the curb. And a brilliant move there from Jordan Taylor up into the top 5. A big, big moment for Jake Wardle. He finds himself on the very exit of the circuit. Oscar Abertzazi is also bouncing over that. He's being joined out there by, I couldn't quite pick out exactly who that was. I think that could have been Leo Bell that joined him out at that section of the circuit. But Lewis Stannard now in 3rd place. Jordan Taylor up into 4th. So Matt Guest comes out leading the race. Harry Dios is in 2nd place. A big moment for Nathan Jensen. He finds himself in the pit wall. So Matt Guest leading the way, followed by Harry Dios. Jordan Taylor in the podium places. Bearing in mind he finished 2nd in race 1. He started in 15th place. He's up into 3rd just 1 lap later. Then it's Lewis Stannard and Kyle Felvers who has carved his way up through the order and he's up into 5th. Nathan Williams is in 6th and will do what he can to apply the pressure to that car up the road. There is Nathan Williams splitting the race 1 top 3 at the moment is Lewis Stannard. We'll keep an eye on Lewis to see how he's going to negotiate. Will he try and go forward and stick with Jordan Taylor, or will he fall into the clutches of Kyle Felvers and Nathan Williams? Luke Sintler recovers, but unfortunately, Olivia Kronoska doesn't. So Luke Sintler is on a bit of a recovery drive. Another mistake from Olivia. Whether that was an aided mistake, I don't know. But unfortunately, she's now down in 15th place. Leo Bell, after a big moment with Oscar Abertzese on the first lap, they sit 13th and 14th. Nathan Jensen is in 12th at the moment, followed by Levine Kishore. Unfortunately, not the best start from Levine, with a bit of contact, meaning that he finishes, he is currently running in 11th place, pardon me. Luke Sintler is on the cusp of the top 10. Kyle Felvers doing what he can to finally, I think, catch his breath as well as I will, to close up to Lewis Stannard. But Jordan Taylor, what a start. He's up into 3rd place and only half a second away from Harry Dials. Through the chicane we go once again. Very fine margins through there. I think we'd have a few mirrors go missing, but unfortunately Lewis Stannard runs very wide indeed, meaning that allows Kyle Felvers up the inside. Kyle Felvers slightly compromised, means that Nathan Williams pops up the inside. So it's now Jordan Taylor 3rd, Nathan Williams 4th, and Kyle Felvers in 5th. So as soon as he gained one, he lost one, unfortunately, did Kyle. So he's got to go from sort of defence and attack to solely attack now, I think, and just stick with Nathan Williams. And maybe that will draw him up to Jordan Taylor, but Jordan is trying to attack as well and work his way through and past Harry Dios. Luke Sintler is looking up the inside of Oscar Abertzese, whilst he's got Leo Bell going round the outside. So side by side in towards the complex. Are they going to get this sorted out? Yes, they will. So Leo Bell on the inside picks up another place. Luke Sintler, after saying he was on a recovery drive, I think a slight mistake. He's just dropped him further back. Levine Kishore is recovering from his poor start with the contact, up into 9th at the moment. But Luke is almost physically pushing Leo Bell towards Noble, a very sort of deceptive, quick left-hander here at Thruxton. Matt Guest still leading the way by quite a substantial 3.5 seconds at the moment, but 3.5 seconds over Jordan Taylor. So Jordan Taylor up into 2nd place. Harry Dios is in 3rd, still being followed by the duo of Nathan Williams and Kyle Felvers. Those two are together, so at the moment, separating, what, 3rd to, or 2nd down to 6th place. It's only about 3 seconds, so we've got, what, 4 or 5 cars all within a couple of seconds of each other. Luke Sintler making the most of Leo Bell's poor run, making the most of Oscar Abertzese's even poorer run. 3 wide up the hill towards the club chicane. Luke on the outside. Will he get rid of that overlap by the time they arrive on the brakes? He was earliest on the brakes, meaning that Oscar Abertzese will sneak his way up the inside. Nathan Williams is dropping down the order, not making the chicane is Oscar Abertzese, but stops. Very sensible driving from Oscar, minimises any opportunity of getting a penalty. So that goes back the way of Luke Sintler, who is trying to catch up and close down Leo Bell. Nathan Williams must have had some sort of mistake, because he's down into 6th place at the moment. Whether he collected the wall, I don't know. Pushing hard, grabs a bit of grass, and you can see the car trying to swap ends. Behind him is Hayden Cray and Levine Kishore. But what that does mean now is the P1, P2 pairing at HFT Racing of Kyle Felvers and Jordan Taylor are now sat there in 2nd and 3rd and are closing in on Matt Guest. It was 3.5 seconds last time we looked. It's now down to 2.8. So Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvers can work together and try and work their way towards the sort of provisional top step of the podium. We've still got 14 minutes of the race remaining. We've stayed under green flag conditions so far, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So now we just have to let the race run and see how the drivers will approach the following, what, 13 and a bit minutes. There is Matt Guest, our race leader. I'm sure more than comfortable up at the head of the order. Jordan Taylor still sat there in 2nd with Kyle Felvers 1.5 seconds back. Harry Dios is in 4th place at the moment, followed by Harley Connolly. Nathan Williams in 6th after that mistake. Here is Kyle Felvers, pardon me. So it is Levine Kishore. Apologies. So Levine Kishore is sat there in 8th place. He's closing up onto the rear bumper of Hayden Gray as they work their way through the first corner at Allards. And then it's sort of a slight ascent up the hill, quick left-hander in towards the complex. And Levine Kishore, will he be later on the brakes and try and close that gap? Potentially so. The nose of the car dives into the floor, using all of the curb and a little bit more, but picks the slightly faster line through there, and visually you can see that gap is coming down. So Levine Kishore really starting to apply the pressure onto the tail end of Hayden Gray. Nathan Williams is just up the road and potentially losing time. He may have a bit of damage behind the wheel of his car, unfortunately. Matt Guest, that 2.8 seconds that was 3.5 seconds, is now down to 1 singular second indeed. Jordan Taylor is very, very close indeed now. Kyle Felvers only a second back from his teammate, so it's definitely a matter of sort of when and not if, unfortunately. But Matt Guest has driven incredibly well so far and has managed that lead, and he's just sort of running his own race. That's all Matt needs to do at the moment to pick up some good points in race 2 here at Thruxton. And at the moment, Harley Connolly is, what, 4.5 seconds back. So as race director Scott Thorne has pointed out to me, he could quite easily get a podium if he just drives that own race, just doesn't get in his own head. Here is Harry Dios. He's now looking up the inside of Nathan Williams. He was tied championship leader coming into this this evening. He's lost the championship lead as a result of Kyle Felvers winning race 1. Levine Kishore with a big, big moment through the final corner. That means he loses out to both Hayden Gray and Lewis Stannard. Now we see the battle for the lead. So Matt Guest under pressure from Jordan Taylor. Kyle Felvers is well and truly there as well. So Jordan Taylor I think he's going to see what's Matt Guest's line through maybe a couple of corners and then decide to go for the move, or he's just going to stick behind all the way until the club chicane and then pick his way through. But if you were Matt Guest, I think if I were Matt Guest, maybe just bleed out of the throttle slightly, let them up the inside and then follow them round, use the aerodynamic assistance. They might take a slightly different line at HFT Racing and that can gain you a little bit of time and follow them through, learn as much as possible in race 2 to give you the best opportunity to get a podium. At the moment, it is still going the way of Matt Guest because Harley Connolly is, what, 5.5 seconds away in 4th place from Kyle Felvers. So Matt just needs to potentially sort of sacrifice the lead to promote the opportunity of getting a podium. He just has a wander over to the inside, a slight defence from Jordan Taylor. Will he be earlier on the brakes? Yes, he will. Jordan Taylor takes the wide line in, compromise the entry to maximise the exit. Through the chicane he will go, bouncing over the curbs. Doesn't quite work the way you'd imagine. Kyle Felvers has really closed up now. We looked and he was a second back. He's now a 10th back and absolutely nose to tail as they work their way through Allards at turn 1. Just a tap there from Kyle Felvers, a bit of bump drafting to push Jordan alongside potentially of Matt Guest as they approach the braking zone to boost that momentum up. A big look now potentially on the brakes. Up the inside goes Jordan Taylor, but it's not going to quite work because Matt Guest has gone very, very deep on the brakes. A race he didn't have to race, I don't think, for Matt. But he's down into 3rd place and unfortunately fallen well and truly out of any aerodynamic assistance, and instead of costing himself maybe a couple of tenths, that has cost him a couple of seconds, and meaning Harley Connolly will get closer. Nathan Williams has passed Harry Dios and he's up into 5th place at the moment, but not lapping as quick as we've seen him at the moment. Last time through, Nathan Williams, a 1:33.348. We have seen him down into the 31s in qualifying, the 32s in race conditions. But lo and behold, the HFT racing cars that started, or that finished race 1-2, they started the race at the back of the order in 16th and 15th, and now back 1-2 again, just in a slightly different order. Jordan Taylor, it's his turn to lead the race as Kyle Felvers is sat there in 2nd place. You'd imagine for the next 9 and a bit minutes, they are just going to follow each other around and sort of sit nose to tail, save a bit of fuel potentially, and just work together, punch one singular hole through the air as opposed to 2 separate ones. Matt Guest, 2.1 seconds away in the background. All he's got to do for Matt really is manage that gap to Harley Connolly. He could be on for a podium, and that's a good shout for driver of the day, I would say, for Matt. Harley Connolly is doing well in 4th place. Hayden Gray and Harry Dios have traded places. Is that as a result of contact? No, it's not. It was a fair move there from Hayden Gray by the looks of that on the brakes up towards the club chicane. 8.5 minutes still to go, and we've completed we're on our 7th lap at the moment. Our race leaders working their way through the complex. Whilst they are the closest cars on circuit, I don't necessarily think they'll be battling too much. There is Harry Dios, and having lost the place to Hayden Gray, looks like Levine Kishore, after having to fight back as best as possible, he is trying to work his way up through the order once again. We've seen him as high as 2nd where he started, but he is now carving his way back through the order after contact on the 1st lap. He looks up the inside of Harry Dios, and Harry just doesn't get the best run on the exit of Seagrave, unfortunately, but he's forced it side by side. Clever driving from Harry, because that leaves Levine on the outside, but that will evolve to the inside for the long, long right-hander at Goodwood Village and then into Church even. And Levine Kishaw up into 8th place and will get up another position for him. Of course, just realised Matt Guest can't have driver of the day, driver of the round, because he's already had it at the moment. Harley Connolly is probably the next one, sat there in 4th place. Nathan Williams is falling away as well, 4.2 seconds. Last time through a 1:33.3, so potentially damaged. That's the only thing you can think if it was a mistake and he collided with the wall through the final corner. There is Nathan. He's just going through the final corner now, narrowly avoiding the wall and using absolutely every inch of circuit he has available to him. Ollie Newton is slowly starting to catch up onto the coattails of Luke Sintler and Leo Bell as well. Leo Bell only 2 tenths away from Nathan Jensen. We'll try and pick out exactly where they are on circuit. They're just working their way through turn 1 now, so we'll see that battle slowly start to erupt. Leo Bell now looking to the outside, but room is very much being left at as very little as possible, I should say, from Nathan Jensen. But Leo Bell somehow finds the room on the brakes. So late on the brakes. Is he going to get it slowed down and corner made? Yes, he will. So he edged the door open and forced his way up the inside. Very respectful driving from the both of them. Racing room left. Look how close that was as well. Leo Bell just about making the corner with Nathan Jensen cutting across once again, trying to get the cut back. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, but both of them keep it in a straight line, narrowly avoiding the tyre bail for Nathan Jensen. Very, very close indeed, but Leo Bell up into the top 10 now. Nathan Jensen sat there in 11th place. The lead gap has extended to half a second now, so Jordan Taylor is slowly pulling away from his HFT Racing teammate, Kyle Felvis. Matt Guest still sat there in 3rd place somewhat comfortably as well. However, he's just swapped over, saying Kyle Felvis has taken the lead. Was that a mistake for Jordan Taylor through the chicane? Potentially so, because very, very slow over the line goes Jordan Taylor. And he did in fact find the wall through the final corner, so hopefully that's not any damage for himself. Let's have a look. The steering still seems to be tracking straight and true for the moment, but Kyle Felvis is now 4 seconds in the lead. Can he get a clean sweep here at Thruxton? And it must be very, very slight steering damage. Nathan Jensen with a very big moment, I would assume, as well. So too with Leo Bell. We saw Leo fighting away, but he's now down into 10th place, make that 11th. So Leo with an incident as well. Levine Kishaw has clipped the tyres, so whilst we're 5 minutes from the end, clearly 15 minutes into the race is the time to have an accident, but everybody seems to be having a go. Matt Guest, having lost the lead just a few laps ago, is slowly starting to creep back in towards Jordan Taylor. Of course, Jordan has a bit of damage as well, and whilst it might not be substantial and your wheel can only be slightly off, it really forces you to have to work into a new driving style and work into a new rhythm, and Matt Guest is slowly falling away, unfortunately, by the looks of that. But Harley Connolly still sat there in 4th place. Nathan Williams in 5th, just controlling that pace. I think he just wants to get to the end and bag a couple more points as well. Championship rival Kyle Felvis is 4 seconds clear at the top of the order. Exactly what he needs to do for his championship aspirations. Luke Stannard is in 6th, followed by Hayden Gray and Harry Dios. The closest cars we've got on circuit are, in fact, I think the battle we're looking at the moment between Matt Guest and Jordan Taylor. There's a good battle going on further down between Leo Bell and Luke Sintler. They're only a second apart. So too is Jake Wardle and Olivia Kronoska. They're 2 tenths apart, so they're really starting to close in on each other. Jake Wardle, he'll look to the outside as we work our way through Goodwood. Then it's down the hill before the blind right-hander at Church. You've got to be very brave to make a move up the inside. A little look there from Jake, maybe just filling the mirrors again, a little bit of mind games. Then it's a long run up the hill. If Jake's confident enough on the brakes, we could see a change here for what is 14th place, 3.5 minutes away from seeing the checkered flag for the last time this evening. But Jake Wardle not close enough that time, slightly slower in a straight line, maybe didn't get the best run. Olivia Kronoska managing the car, moving around on the brakes. It was squirming just as she was trying to get it slowed down, but Jake slower on the entry, much quicker on the exit. He's now looking to the outside as we approach Allard, crossing the line now to go on to what is lap number 10 of the race. Jake pinching Olivia in towards the apex. That's probably the best way to do it, to almost force her to scrub off a little bit of speed. It will be the outside for the complex though, so he's going to have to be brave on the brakes and find the grip around the outside. He's worked his way up into 14th on the timing, but Olivia so late on the brakes and makes the corner quite comfortably as well. So clever defending there from Olivia in the 899 machine, bouncing over the curbs through Seagrave. Jake has got a bit of work to do if he wants to try and work his way up into 13th place at the moment. The fastest lap of the race, he's currently going the way of our race leader Kyle Felbus with a 1 minute 32.353. So he will pick up the bonus point for that one as well if it remains as it is. Olivia Kronoska still defending as best she can from Jake Wardle as we go through Goodwood once again. It's quite a short lap when you think about it. Levine Kishore has picked up a place as Harry Dios is into the pit lane, so maybe for damage with Dios. Jake pitching in early, very early indeed. Is he going to make the corner? No, he's not. I thought that was early on the way in, but can't quite make the corner through Church, meaning he scrubs off a load of speed, and all of that time he's worked so hard to gain on Olivia Kronoska flies out of the window. Nathan Jensen into the pit lane, and unfortunately into retirement as well, so we won't see anything further from Nathan Jensen. But what a brilliant run through the final corner from Jake Wardle. That means he sort of edges his way up the inside on the exits, and position made before we even get to the start-finish line. So Jake Wardle up into 14th place. Oscar Abruzzese is 11 seconds up the road, so I don't think we'll see anything more in the way of a positional gain from Jake Wardle. He's now got to focus, if needed, to defend from Olivia Kronoska. With a minute remaining, whereabouts is Kyle Felvus? He is just working his way through turn 1 now, so this will be the final lap of the race. So can he make it 2 from 2 at the moment? It looks like he will, but of course mistakes can still happen. Jordan Taylor is 3 seconds back in second place. Matt Guest 3.4 back from him. Harley Connolly 3 seconds back from him. But Matt in third place. What a brilliant drive so far. Luke Sintler now starting to apply the pressure onto the tail end of Levine Kishore. We may see a very last minute change late in the day here at Thruxton. Turning their way through turn 1, it's closer than ever. Leo Bell, don't rule him out at all. So this is the battle for 8th place. So we've got Levine Kishore in 8th, Luke Sintler in 9th, and Leo Bell in 10th place for now, because up the inside goes Luke Sintler. Up the inside even further goes Leo Bell, 3 wide on the way in. Clever driving there from Levine Kishore. Decides to go around the outside and sort of minimise any sort of risk of contact, and then jumps his way all the way around the outside once again. Levine Kishore, very clever driving indeed. Stuck to the outside, let the 2 on the inside battle. And it really worked for him, because that means he is back up into 8th place. Luke Sintler is in 9th, and Leo Bell remains in 10th place. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Nathan Williams has been closing on Harley Connolly for the final couple of spots in the top 5, but it's not quite going to work. Kyle Felvus is working his way through the final chicane for the final time now to take the win here at Thruxton. A very well controlled race from Kyle Felvus. A brilliant first lap from himself and Jordan Taylor, but someone has to win. It goes the way of Kyle Felvus, the second win of the night. His teammate at HFT Racing, Jordan Taylor, crosses the line to finish in second. Matt Guest with a brilliant third place. Harley Connolly crosses the line in 4th place. Very good night from Harley. Nathan Williams recovering up into 5th, followed then by Lewis Stannard finishing in 6th. Hayden Gray, I think we've seen him backwards at some point throughout this race, finishes in 7th place. Very well driven race from Hayden Gray. Luke Sintler at the inside and will make that move. Yes, he will. So, oh, sorry, that was Leo Bell. Leo Bell up the inside of Levine Kishore. So Luke Sintler will finish in 8th place. Leo Bell in 9th, and Levine Kishore, having started this lap in 8th place, unfortunately, will finish in 10th. I think it's a night of, oh, what could have been for Levine. And Ollie Newton now defending as best he can from Harry Dios, but he compromises his way through the chicane. They're going to be side by side. It'll be a run to the line because Harry Dios on the outside, he can't quite get the car straightened up off the corner. So Ollie Newton will finish in 11th place, followed then by Harry Dios, and Oscar Abruzzese will finish in 13th place. Jake Wardle with his newly positioned 14th, having made the move on Olivia Kronoska just a couple of laps ago. He will finish in 14th place. And I'm guessing it will be Olivia Kronoska. Yes, it will, in 15th place to round out your finishers. So I'm just sort of picking out who it may be in terms of the driver of the round. So into the box in a few moments' time. Once the drivers have worked their way back into the pit lane, we will see Kyle Felvis, double race winner at Thruxton here this evening. Jordan Taylor finishing in second, and then it will be Matt Guest as well. It'd be great to grab a quick word with Matt. Matt is already in here. Matt, it was controlled at the front, and you sort of did everything you needed to do. It was two quick cars closing down. You tried to minimise any sort of time lost in the battle, and then just controlled your race from there. And you've picked up third place and a good haul of points as well.
Yeah, I knew I had absolutely no chance at staying in front of Kyle and Jordan. So I did try to minimise time lost when letting them through. But yeah, so that went well, and then I managed to keep the gap behind. So yeah, quite happy with that race.
Yeah, it seemed to work at Thruxton as well, because you're flat out for quite some time, but it means then the braking zones are quite heavy. You seem fairly confident on the brakes. Was there any sort of preparation coming out of Castle Combe into Thruxton, thinking, right, it's a completely different circuit? Is that something that sort of crosses your mind when you go from circuit to circuit, that you need to adapt your driving style slightly?
Yeah, it's these are all new tracks to me, so learning them is quite interesting, and I'm usually quite slow in practice, so I do my best to learn the tracks as well as I can, and yeah, bring it into race pace and hopefully have a good result.
Well, a good haul of points in race 2, and hopefully that's built the confidence up for the season that gets back underway after the festive period. So obviously, I wish you a good Christmas and a happy New Year. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out? Because obviously, there's got to be people in the background that make this happen.
Yeah, so thanks to Jordan, because he helped me with my setup over practice, and yeah, it clearly worked. Yeah, I think that's all. So yeah.
No worries. Cheers, Matt. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you next year. We do also have in the commentary box Jordan Taylor. Jordan, it's been again a good haul of points for tonight. It looked like your teammate made you work for it quite substantially at points. A couple of little mistakes, but you can't complain with 2 podiums, a good haul of points before we go into the winter break.
Yeah, it's alright. The second race should have been a win, but once again I had PC issues. As I was coming into the braking zone, when you saw me mess up, I don't know if it was caught on camera or not, but I messed up coming through the chicane because Windows was like, you should restart your PC now, and I was like, I don't want to. So I was trying to downshift and click not now and turn for the corner. So it probably wasn't my best idea, but I couldn't see where I was going, so I had to try and move it as fast as I could. Otherwise, it could have been a win. I mean, Kyle wasn't slow, but I mean, I was being consistent. I was maintaining the gap, and I've just bottled it. I've no mistake of my own this time. Well, in race 1, it was my fault this time. My PC again last week. I didn't do quali. This week has cost me a race win, so.
I suppose that's got to motivate you maybe more, whilst at the moment I'm sure it's slightly disheartening, but it means you've got to work maybe even harder coming out of the winter break. So is this sort of, whilst at the moment, yeah, it is, I'm sure it's going to be downplayed, but is that going to motivate you even more to go out and get on the podium and get some more race wins after the winter break?
Always stay motivated. It's not over till it's over, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I did last season, there was no drop rounds, I missed the first round and only lost by 2 points. So there was loads of positive to take off that side of things, but obviously I was upset about that. This is minor things, this has cost me a couple points. It's not like last week where I've missed out on qualifying, I didn't come in the top 10 and stuff like that. So I'm confident for these next couple of tracks as well, because they also don't have massive tyre barriers where you need to look, which is also a plus. And Snetterton last time, I was rapid around there, so I enjoy Snetterton. It's a technical whilst flowing circuit. I like the tight technical circuits. That's why I do better at Cadwell and Croft, etc. So I think these next couple of circuits suit me, and you'll see me excel, and I'll be back on my form that I haven't shown yet, but you'll see it soon.
Great stuff. Well, we'll look forward to seeing it, and yeah, obviously wish you the best festive period and New Year, and we'll see you once the season gets back underway.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone who's watching as well, and I'll see you later.
Brilliant. Cheers, Jordan. And
Cheers.
double race winner from this evening, Kyle Felvis, you came into this evening leading the championship on countback. You were tied on points with Nathan Williams, but on countback, you would be the championship leader. But this time, you've made it slightly easy. You've gone, right, okay, you want to be drawing? You want to count back? Nah, we'll make it nice and easy for you. 2 race wins, a massive haul of points at Thruxton as well, which is famed for producing some very close racing. You've come out on top. That's got to be a massive motivator and a little Christmas present almost to yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a night it was. I think, you know, coming into the night, I wasn't really too sure how it was going to go, because I haven't really had much time to do practice, and I've sort of been putting it off because Thruxton's a very tedious track to try and hot lap around for practice. My plan was to do some practice throughout the day today, but I got called into work this morning, so I had to go there. And then got home, started some practice, and yeah, to get 2 wins, I mean, some would say it was luck, but you know, I definitely did have a bit of luck, but just the consistency I had, and I think that definitely helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think consistency is what wins you those championships, and you can't be more consistent than 2 race wins really this evening. Obviously, we heard it very briefly from Jordan. We've got a real range of tracks on the way. I think Anglesey is definitely one that stands out for me. Is there anything, any specific circuit that you're looking forward to coming towards the final half of the season?
To be honest, I'm not sure what tracks that we've got left. I haven't really checked. But apart, you know, Anglesey is definitely a fun circuit. The elevation on that circuit will make it fun, so I think that will definitely be a good watch. I'm looking forward to that. It's a new track for me in a series, really. So yeah, that should be good fun.
Well, we've got the Snetterton 300 layout on the way. That's round 5. Then it's Anglesey, then it's Alton, then back to Brands. So you've got no excuse at Brands. You definitely know that one after round 1. But of course, massive congratulations for 2 race wins and extending that championship lead this evening. And obviously, we wish you the very best over the festive period, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to all.
Brilliant. Cheers, Kyle. So another night of racing complete here at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. The Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries just excels week on week on week, and we always see some very close racing indeed. Tonight, round 4, the 21st of December here at Thruxton. We will see you all again in towards the next year. The 4th of January, we get things back underway for round 5 on the Snetterton 300 layout. Then we go to Anglesey, then Alton Park, and we round out the season almost a month from now at Brands Hatch Indy. So we've got plenty more action on the way. Please make sure you keep those notifications on, so you keep an eye on when we are going live, when we post any other content. But from myself, Jack Werrell, Tom O'Farrell, the broadcast director, Mick Sutton, the man behind it all at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing, the safety car driver Scott Thorne we saw very briefly this evening, and apologies, Craig, your Christmas weekend will be a busy one. Craig Cherney, the clerk of the course, from us all here at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. Thank you for joining us for round 4 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.